Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 4. We have another busy one on our hands. We will mostly keep working on the town, of course, but we have other things to accomplish. We need to hook things up to the rail main line, so we can move things around without clogging up the roads. Then, we will need to take care of the vehicle maintenance. Some of the ones we've been using are starting to show their age. Sure, it's only been a couple episodes, but we've been using time compression a lot, so it only feels short. We will reach August of 1964 today. We will also build a clothing factory set up next to the food industry, just so we have a more diverse source of income when the time comes for people to settle into the town. And sorry that I won't do it sooner, but I will only remember to turn on the day-night cycle at the end of the video. I will be too busy doing other stuff. Before we get started, if this is not your first video from this channel, you already know what to expect. If you want to be kept up to date, please consider subscribing, and if you like what you see, leaving a like will also help letting me know what to focus on. But enough talking, let's get into it. How about we deal with the railroad stuff first? Of course, we will need a way to actually build it all, so we need a rail construction office in the town. I would like to rely on domestic workforce for this, and building the office in town will ensure a constant supply of workers. Before we place it though, we will need to make a bit of room. The road is a bit too short to accommodate it. Right next to the passenger station seems like a fine place for it. We can simply hook it up to the same branch, and it should work fine. Now, about that branch. Thankfully, we have plenty of room to work with. The most important thing is the size of the passenger platform. We need to know where it ends to determine the place of the junction. Thankfully, we have plenty of space. They can even share this crossing, so it should all work just fine. Now, the actual place where this branch splits off the main line. To build it, first we need to make the main line longer. That wide turn feels like it would be a pretty good place for the switches. I did place a simple T-junction for now, but I might still convert it into a proper trumpet interchange before we start construction. I only did it like this because I didn't see how viable it actually is. I will do some planning between episodes to determine if we can squeeze one in without sacrificing too much space. But looking at it, I think we can do it. Before we move on, I wanted to also build a clothing industry next to the food factory. The final placement of the warehouses will determine the way we deal with the rail tracks, so we should get it done before carrying on with the railroad planning. As usual, we will have one fabric factory serving 2 clothing plants. There is no reason to hook all the factory connections together, I just don't want to see unused connections if we can help it. All that's left is the central warehouse. The placement and orientation of it will determine how we deal with the rail connections. Maybe we can do it like this. Damn. Too far. Would have been kind of neat. And now it's too close. You know what? Let's just place it parallel with the road, and be done with it. The reason why I wanted it that way was so the road leading to the building would be a bit more organized, but I suppose this will have to do. And with that, we can place the junction leading to the warehouses. One for food, and another for clothes. I suppose we should build it here. I don't want to use the one leading to the town, and we didn't really have the space needed on that side because of it. So this will have to do. Maybe we should build the cables after the bridge is in place, so the hill can be raised correctly. In the meantime, we can place the tracks that will be going toward the actual warehouses. And with the pylons gone, we can raise the hill without any more collision issues. They should be a bit angled compared to the road, so hooking it up to the main line is easier. Yeah, this will do just fine. This one, however, it might be a bit more tricky, thanks to the different elevations we need to work with. I suppose the best option is to simply level out the terrain along the intended path of the tracks. Oh yeah, this is coming together nicely. And indeed, it was much easier than I thought it would be. And I doubt we will worry about building a trumpet interchange here later, it will be relatively low traffic anyway, plus we really don't have the space for it, unless we build a really ugly jumble of bridges. Next, I thought we should move the station crossing at the grain silo closer to the actual station. There. Now we can have a train queue on the branch, instead of blocking the main line. I suppose we could just smooth out the terrain between the road and the tracks here. I highly doubt we will see anything built there. But, any place that has a lot of room next to it, that's where we should make the embankments as steep as possible, to leave as much room for future buildings as possible. And I think we are pretty much done planning the railroad for the near future. All that's left is to designate one of the lanes between the customs house and the rail construction office to be high priority, so when we buy the first track layer, it will laser focus on getting to the border as fast as possible. That should do it. Let's see what's next. How about we start upgrading the town streets to asphalt, preferably with streetlights? I think the best way to go about this is to do the intersections first. They are the most fiddly parts of the road network. And we should do them one by one, so work on other parts of the city can continue without much interference. And while playing around with stuff between episodes, I noticed that our dumpers are really starting to show their age. They are the ones that are the most busy, along with the buses, so it's time to set up a small maintenance office to deal with it. I had two choices. Either build it next to the farm, since it has a lot of vehicles parked in it, and they are in constant use, or choose a more central location, so we can cover a bigger area with it. I chose the latter. I gave it high priority for construction. I want to start fixing stuff before they reach 0%. Next, how about a small rethink on the residential area? There was a suggestion in the comments that maybe we should leave the central area free for some greenery, and maybe a monument for loyalty. And I am in complete agreement. We can move the garbage collection points to the sides. Once that half-finished thing is gone, we will have a nice clear space to work with. For now, I cleaned out the trees from the middle. We will deal with decorations when things are in a more finished state. Speaking of clearing out trees, how about we place the textures to fill in the space between the footpaths and the street roads? This will make it impossible to replant those trees in this session, but once the game is reloaded, we can do it all over again. That should do it. Now the pedestrian paths look like a much more integral parts of the town infrastructure. Since we got rid of a couple houses recently, how about we compensate by building 4 more? Near the station and the RCO should be a good place, those will need a lot of people. Okay, that's enough terraforming for now. I know it's super boring to watch. Same as before, we are pretty limited on what we can build. The only other with more than 90% housing quality is a really small one. I suppose I can go as low as 80%, but not anything below that. Still, let's just use the one we used before for this place. To break up the monotony, let's place a pair in this orientation instead. If all goes well, we won't even need to place any extra services to keep these ones happy. They should have everything in range already. We just need to hook them into the pedestrian network. If necessary, we can continue that path further up, but I don't think this neighborhood will be any bigger than this. Next, how about we build a small street around the station and the RCO? We can use this as the place for the street crossing. No train should ever really occupy this space, since it's a junction, and trains can only enter it if they have a clear path out. We can even go over it with the footpaths. Perfect. To continue this walkway, we will need to demolish a small section. I'm just glad we also have a completion notification option for demolitions too. It can be even more useful than the one about constructions. This place looks like the perfect spot for a small side street. Once again, we need to get rid of a bit of this footpath to make room. Good thing we are not relying on it for anything important. I wonder why this place isn't getting demolished. And it seems the vehicle maintenance office is finished. We can set up the deliveries for it, and start fixing stuff. How about we also get a couple more garbage trucks to import more fertilizer? The one we have seemed to be running 24/7, so it might need a hand. Anyways, we need another distribution office to import the materials needed to keep the maintenance office running. We will need at least one open hull truck to bring in the steel and aluminum we need, and then a bunch of smaller covered hull trucks. The reason I buy more than one is because they seem to be really prone to leaving stuff in the back after a delivery, so instead of constantly telling them to empty out, we will just buy a bunch, and hope they can deal with the separate goods by themselves. And after the removal of this footpath section, we can put in that extra street. Alright, we have the materials delivered to the maintenance depot. We have two more things we need to sort out. A pair of trucks to go out to other buildings to fix the vehicles, and wait for workers to get to it. Since we have no people living here yet, we will just use foreigners for it. I think we should go for two big ones, and repurpose them for the town bus lines later. Damn, we are just out of range for the bus stop. We can use a direct line for now, but I really hope upgrading the road will be enough later. Alright. We have everything we need to start fixing the really beat up vehicles. And here's the first one to benefit from it. A really weary dumper. Once all the materials are delivered, it will be fixed, and it can get back to work. And all the dumpers look much healthier already. I think we can start upgrading another intersection. Once all of them are done, we can upgrade the longer pieces too. And this garbage collection point is still not scrapped. Something isn't right. That's the only active demolition job we have, and yet, nothing's happening. Anyways, while we contemplate the possible reasons for it, how about we start upgrading some of the driveways too? They need to be paved over too at some point, so we might as well do it while they aren't in use. Okay, something is definitely wrong with this job. Let's try to diversify our fleet of demolition machinery, just to make sure it's not that. The only thing we don't have yet are covered and open hull trucks. Let's buy one of each, and then fill the rest with waste trucks. Well, that did pretty much nothing for us. That's a shame. I guess we only have one option left to try. Just to see if it's the offices or the building, let's break up the gravel on that footpath. Yeah, the offices work fine. It's something to do with the building itself. The only thing I could think of to try is to set it to use explosives. Not happy about it, but desperate times call for desperate measures, and all that. At least enabling that option immediately sent out the covered hull truck to pick up the stuff, so that's promising. And yeah, that's all it took. We can clear out the place, and leave it open for future development. And this is where I finally remembered the whole day-night cycle. I was really disappointed in myself that it took me a whole hour to finally do it. I even thought about enabling it after getting rid of so many trees earlier, but then I got distracted by something else. Anyways, here it is. I can only hope that it's still watchable on YouTube. It was pretty much perfect on my screen. If it is still a bit too dark, I can increase the brightness even further, just let me know in the comments. Anyways, how about we close things out by fast forwarding a little, and get these high voltage switches done real quick. And don't forget, if you're interested in how to make the nights brighter, just check out Charlie Pryor's video in the description. Not gonna lie, I am really glad we managed to sort out the day-night cycle. If only there was a mod on the workshop that replaced the snow textures with something a bit less glaring, then we could also enable seasons. I hear the frequency of snowfall has been reduced, so I would be open to it. But the too bright textures are still a deal breaker for me. I even tried to open the texture files in GIMP recently, and they were incompatible, even with a DDS plugin, which was included by default in my version of the software. I tried to see if maybe I can change the snow, so it would stop accumulating before it reaches 100% coverage. You know, how during snowfall, snow slowly build up on the ground, I wanted to change it so it stopped at about 50%, that would be a good solution I think. Anyways, I am not really good at modding, so I'm sure I would have messed something up in the end. Either way, we are pretty much at the end of the episode now, so let's see what's in store later. I think the most obvious is the continuation of the town construction. The construction offices are laser focused on finishing the streets it seems. None of the buildings are even started yet, apart from the train station. I would still like to quickly finish upgrading the more important roads to asphalt, especially at the ones that used vehicles, and where deliveries are needed. The rest are less important, the emergency services can just use the footpaths to get around. We might end up doing a lot more fast forwarding in the next episode, just to get things done, and get people into the Republic at last. We need to get started on the tech tree, and start discovering the location of the nearby oil deposit, which will serve as our early money maker, as well as money saver, once we start making fuel. Anyways, if you haven't done it already, I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel, and leaving a like would also let me know that this video was worth making. If you feel that it was good enough, and you can afford it, please consider going to my Ko-fi page, which you can find in the description, and donate an amount that you feel is appropriate. And if you did like what you've seen, there should be links to some of my other videos and playlists on the screen. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next one.